You're welcome to join us here in this rather attractive crypt as we bring together some of England's most inspiring teachers to find out who and what inspires them. Today, they're talking about pupils. And we begin with a surprising tale of success against the odds.
There was one child who really inspired me, and she taught me a great deal. She had Asperger's, and I didn't teach her in Year 7 or in Year 8. And she came to me and with her TA, and the TA came up to me, sort of sidled up and said, "Look, Robert, she won't do a great deal. We'll just be happy if she just watches from the side. She'll be very interested, but she won't do a great deal." And the condition often is that, you know, you don't want to step outside yourself, you don't want to take too many risks, you want the routine and so on. However, what I noticed was that she began to laugh a lot at what was going on. And then gradually she came out of the corner and she began to sort of be in pieces. And when I say be in pieces, I mean literally physically just stand there. You know, nothing much was happening physically, and nothing outward emotionally appeared to be happening, but it was clearly going on inside. Because the other feature of her particular condition was that she was very, very determined. However, at the end of year 9, she said to me, "I'm going to do drama for GCSE." And I thought, "Oh Lord, what are we going to do here?"
Because was this the first time she'd really engaged with you?
I thought, well, what are we going to do here? You know, someone who doesn't physically move, doesn't really say very much, but clearly, as you know, we just have to forget about the grades and just take her through. But her enthusiasm and her energy inside her head to succeed was such that not only did she do drama, but she was in every piece of drama I did extracurricularly. And she was involved in writing a school play. She performed in the school play. All her family could not believe what they saw happened. This person had just decided that, yes, there is an obstacle. Yes, I know what that obstacle is, but I can get over it. And that was a big lesson to me. And it was in that, and in an area where nobody believed that Asperger's, this particular Asperger's child could work. So that was really inspirational.
We all want to have the perfectly behaved class, but actually it's the class with more challenging children who inspire you more often. They're the ones that you remember more, maybe. And I remember a child I worked with who, when he first started, whenever I tried to get them reading, I'd be chasing him around the room with the book, trying to get him to sit down and turn my back, and he'd throw it over his shoulder. And then something just clicked, and he started reading. And he started reading, and he got better and better and better. And we had a parents' evening, had a meeting with his mother, and she didn't speak English, and through a translator said how just amazingly he was doing, and how proud I was, and it was a fantastic achievement. And mother sat there and said, "Yeah, that's good." And at the end, through the translator, she said, "He is reading an awful lot." And I said, "Yeah, it's great, it's really, really good." And she said, "No, he's really reading a lot." And I said, "That's fantastic." She said, No sooner does he finish a book, he picks up another one, and then he puts that one down, he starts another one." And she said, "Is it normal?" And I said, "It's fantastic." And she said, "Well, I'm not sure. I've spoken to my friends, and they said maybe I should take him to the doctors." And we sort of, were a bit shocked, but afterwards I realised that actually his mother was Kurdish, was a refugee, and came from a background where language, is so powerful if it's used against you, and you can't use your own language. And her son was sort of trying to break free. And, with my own children, I'm always trying to get them to read, and they're trying to watch television or play on the computer. And here was a boy who wanted to read, whose mother was actually saying, "Oh, I don't think you should do that. It's not good for your health." So it was just incredible that somebody came through, and I hope he continues to, because it feels like, it could go either way for him. So that was someone, he was, well, now he'll be 13.
So he's beginning to make his own decisions.
He's at secondary school now, but it was just a lovely, lovely moment where he absolutely, like the girl you're talking about, found it by himself. And it's just being able to find that key, that thing that they can tune into.
Yes, it sets them off on the path that they're supposed to go on. But it must be so hard for a child like that to go against what's their home environment, and to go against what everybody expects of them, and aim higher, and and decide that they're going to do that.
Absolutely.
You know, at that age, that's amazing.
Unless you have a mentor all the way through
Right.
at your side supporting you in
Yes.
that.
I think one of the things that helps me to identify an inspirational pupil is when I ask them about their dreams. And I always encourage all pupils to say, well, you know, talk to me about your dreams with the hope of gaining an aspiration.
Yeah.
So through the dreams I get the aspiration, and through the aspiration I can start to think about how I can engage the child. And some of the children actually, once you start to tap into that, have some really amazing aspirations as to where they want to go, how they want to do things. And you'll find that the vast majority might have that hardcore, I want to be this one person, this one thing. But then there's a certain percentage that want to be many things. An inspirational child, it makes you think about your art as a teacher, and that's the bit that money can't pay you for, and that's the enjoyment in the job that takes you through the dark times or the low times, or like you say, those periods where you haven't got those sparks going. And when you meet that child, you know, you will begin to scaffold things around them that help to inspire more, because you can use them to really bring other people into line in terms of seeing the world as their world. And I'm not just here to educate you so you can get a good job, although that's nice. I'm educating you so that you can appreciate life.
I'm thinking of a girl that I had in my class who really struck a chord with me, because what she, the issue that she had was one that I had, which was her family had very limited expectations for her. And she was the youngest, very much babied, very much sort of prettied up. And she came to me not very confident of her own ability, clearly very bright. You know, her sights were set so low because her parents were afraid that if she were bright, that would lift her out of the social milieu that they were comfortable with. Yeah. And she grew in stature, and she set herself the target of getting certain levels, and she blew right through those targets through her own hard work. But we had to work very carefully on bringing the parents along with us, and we've managed to convince her parents that that's right for her, and that they've got to let her be what she can be and not be afraid if she suddenly turns out to be the first intellectual, you know, heavyweight in their family. That's to be celebrated. Yeah. It's just been wonderful to go through that journey with her.
But in the teaching universe, on the other side of the planet inspiration is the large, dark planet of frustration. Who's encountered that?
I've probably blocked most of them out of my mind. I think for me it's at the beginning of the year and the end of the year that those particular children stand out.
Why do you think the beginning and the end?
I think the beginning because the children are testing you. They want to know how far they can go. My first day in school, and I've been told that I've been given the most challenging class in the school. And there was one child, but it was fine because he now had a full-time support worker with him, so he'd be fine. And started off, and I was going with the "Don't Smile Till Christmas" bit, and it was all fine. Until suddenly screams just erupted from the back of the class. And then people started running around. It was absolute mayhem, and I tried to find out. And then watched as about 5 frogs jumped across the floor and around the room, live frogs. And the boy who had the statement and had the support worker had actually managed to scoop up a load from the school pond at playtime and release them in the classroom. It was fine because he'd killed them all by lunchtime, so they were sort of trodden on them or various things. But you know, that was a child who was clearly testing me and saying, how far can I go? And by the end of the year, had settled. I think the other problem is at the end of the year, especially in year 6, you've put children through the horrendous ordeal of SATs. Telling them all year to work hard, and then you just cram in all this fun, and their boundaries are just shifted again completely. So,
the thing I find about children who want to take you to the outer limits of madness and the annoyance is that flips into being an inspirational child. You see, and I think that for every child that's given me a problem and made me feel like another grey hair's going to pop out, I've been going, yeah, here's where I earn my money.
Yes.
Here's where I start to grow. Because actually, I'm going to show you that really, if you think you don't want to get into the curriculum that we've established, or you don't have a dream or an aspiration, you're wrong. And that, it's really nice meeting that kind of child to sort of say, well, okay, so you don't like reading and you don't like writing. Right, you find maths difficult. How many hands have you got? 2. Maths. Thank you. You know, there's an entry level for everything. The limits of where we set them, either as parents or as teachers and as pupils. And that's the discovery that once a child makes that discovery, and a teacher's got the same sort of ethos, well, then you're in kind of teaching nirvana. In the school that I became a head of, I saw that the pupils were the ones who didn't have anyone looking out for them. And that's why I took on the job. And when I started to speak to them, I realised that they had ambitions and they had desires, and basically schools got to set that up. And it wasn't being set up, so I jumped in with both feet.
Would you say it's a measure actually of either the school or the teacher? If you have a lot of uninspired pupils, something's wrong somewhere. Absolutely. Because you would say that I mean, we're sounding like terribly good teachers at the moment, and we know that we face classes and they are fundamentally uninspirational, and you are feeling fundamentally uninspired as well. But the truth is, it's a lot to do with what you bring into the classroom. And it's a hell of a weight to carry, isn't it? That you are actually responsible for what you're looking at, and it only makes it worse sometimes. But it is a measure of how inspired you are by how many you have out there. And I agree with you entirely. The ones who are the most difficult are often the cleverest. The boy you were talking about who let the frogs go. You know, he must have worked that one out.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of brain there, isn't there? It's just it's gone down a different path.
He took risks.
He took big risks.
The thing is that we all know, I mean, I used to get the mickey taken out of me when I was at teaching college because they thought, nice, safe, lovely little profession. He wants to be a primary school teacher. And I'm like, primary school teacher with a difference, if I could be so bold, is that good teaching and learning happens from taking risks.
It does.
And when I was at school and I was taken to far-flung places and alpine environments where every step you take in a vista of pure white could be your last, that's risk-taking. The child who went to the pond, as you were telling me the story, I was visualising what they were doing.
Yeah,
the amount of skills that child was demonstrating, and calculations, and the planning, what I'm going to do with them, the preparation, how I'm going to get them.
The timing is very important.
Bravo. You know, I mean, every child I've excluded as a head teacher has had excellence behind it. And as I'm excluding a child, which I hate doing, I might add, I'm saying, you're so brilliant. When you get back, I've got to make sure this never happens again.
I can hear people throwing empty wine glasses at the television set as we speak.
Shall I dive off this?
Listen, thanks very much indeed to all of you. That was very, very interesting. Well, that's where we have to leave the subject of pupils for now, but the conversation will continue, so I hope you can join us next time.